Alrighty, so now that we've gone through the strategic planning process, I just want to share a different perspective on why we do strategy and what strategy is to frame the rest of the videos for the future. So, what is strategy? Strategy are the choices that you make on a day-to-day basis. We can't do everything as an organization, we can't do everything as individuals, so it's important to pick the most important things that will get you to your desired future as fast as possible. So, here we have where you are now as an organization, and we have where you are now, or where you would like to go in the future. And ideally, we want to get to this point as fast as possible. Now here's the tricky part. Most organizations do too many things. Now, it's not so much that they do too many things, it's that they don't do all of the things that they do well, which means that they're doing too many things. So what we want to do as part of the strategic planning process is not only to determine what's going on outside of your organization and what's going on inside your organization, but to determine how we can pick the most effective things that are going to move your organization closer to this ideal future as fast as possible. So, as we mentioned before, we have the strategic planning pyramid, and we have our vision up here. Now the vision is this future. They're the same. The vision of the future is where you want to go. So all your decisions that you do should be guided by that future. We have the mission, which are the things that you're going to do here, effectively your purpose or what you're doing to move from now to the future. Okay? So next, in the methodology that we use here, are your goals. Now, your goals are generic statements, broad statements that are going to help guide all of your activities. Your goals increase customer satisfaction, are non-measurable, but they do serve as guidance. For example, think of New Year's resolutions to help you move forward on your mission and your vision. So I recommend having a handful of goals and a small handful, and then figuring out one of the goals that is most important and that is going to contribute most fully to accomplishing your mission and accomplishing your vision. So let's say we have goal 1, goal 2, and goal 3, and we figured out that number 2 is the most important. Now, you might be asking, why do we only pick 3 overarching goals? Now again, feel free to do whatever you want, but this is what I do with my clients, and it helps them a lot, and here's why. For example, you're trying to do this is an initiative, 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 and so on. All right, so you're trying to tell your team, say, oh, I want you to do this, and 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 I want you to do this. Now, of course, I could have listed off many different things, but how easy do you think it is for your team to understand what they're expected to do on a day-to-day basis? Where should they put their energy? Now, think of it a different way. Is that, let's say you have 100% energy as an organization. Now, 100% could be resources. You have $100 or 100 units of time or what have you. 100%, the maximum that you have. So if you have 10 initiatives, arguably the most you could give to each if you balance them out evenly is 10%. Or, for example, you could do 6 and 5 and 13 and 12 and 4, and so on. So if you're doing one of this type of strategy for your organization, how far do you think you're really going to get offering 4% resources on that type of initiative? You're probably not going to get very far. Another way to look at this, as an analogy, is that each one of these initiatives is a task on a different floor. Now, obviously, this is a hypothetical situation, but follow with me. And this is the first thing you're trying to do, and the second thing, and third, and fourth, and fifth, 6, 7, 8. Of course, it would have made more sense if the floors were inverted, but we'll deal with that later. So now, you're working on an initiative on this floor here. And then you're like, oh, now I have to go up to here to work on this. Oh, and now I actually have to go up here to work on this. Oh, and now I have to go here to work on this. So every time that you switch, it takes time, money, and energy. You can't just switch for the sake of switching. There's a lag time and a lead time in between each. So not only do you have very little energy to dedicate to each aspect or each strategy or each goal that you have in your organization, but you're wasting more and more time, more and more energy, more and more money switching between the two. Now, if we operate on the other methodology and we have three main objectives and one of them is our primary objective, so we say, okay, we're going to allocate 40% of our resources here and we're going to do 30 and 30 because this one is more important. It's our number one. Then you're going to make significantly more progress on the most important objective than you are piecemealing some of these. In fact, you'll do 10 times more. Now, of course, again, arbitrary number, but you get what I'm saying. If you focus on less things as far as pure strategic initiatives, you're going to move further on all of them and ultimately move further or closer towards your vision. So the key part of why we do strategic planning and why we run your team through this process is to determine and to establish which objectives are going to be the most powerful that are going to move you towards that desired future. Now, of course, there are other tools that you can use that are outside of this process. For example, discounted cash flow and opportunity cost and cost benefits and all of those things that come from business analysis that would be done leading into the strategic plan process, and we're not going to cover that. But all things equal, looking at a few key components and a few key strategies will help you move forward faster. So just to build on this a little bit more, now we have the vision of the organization, we know where we're going, we have the mission, how we're going to do it, and who we do it for, and then we have goals, and then under each of these goals are sub-activities. Okay? So, just like you would in your organization, and say, we have our objectives, now what are we missing here? We talk about where we want to go, but it's still broad. It's not specific. We won't know where we're going. So before we get into the actual things that we're going to do, we have to find the measurement. And please do refer to the measurement, the KPI video after this. But the way to look at this is to move to X to Y by date. So yes, we have our goals: increase customer satisfaction, decrease defects, enter new market, launch new product, and so on. But how will we know if we're successful? Now, obviously, launch new product is a goal, but how will you know if you're successful launching that new product? If you're saying increase satisfaction, how will you know if you're successful in increasing satisfaction? So it's important to know if success was a place, and this is something you'll hear me repeat many times, if success was a place, how would you know if you got there? So once you figure out what your goals are, find one, and maybe two if you really need to, one key measure that everybody can understand how to go from X to Y by date. We're going to increase customer satisfaction on our Net Promoter Score from 6 to 8 in 12 months. We're going to decrease defects from 5% to 3% in 2 years. We're going to enter this new market and we're going to sell 100,000 units by this date. That way, everybody knows what they're supposed to be doing to move forward and achieve it. Another way to look at it is if you have, which I'm sure most people have, a dashboard. On your, whether you use dashboarding software, we recommend Achieve It, but there are lots of dashboard software out there. And really what you want to say is, what is going to move the needle on our objectives? How are we going to get to our why, our future date, our future state? How are we going to get to this future, and how are we going to measure it? So when we say, okay, how are we going to move the needle from 0 to 100 being fully achieved, and then we start looking at these things right here, and these are the tactics that we're going to look at implementing. These are the things we're going to do on a day-to-day basis that may or may not be included in your strategic plan because they can be granular and they can change on a dime. So what's important to look at is figuring out your vision, where are you going in the future, figure out your mission, how are you going to get there, your goals, what are the overarching objectives that you're going to look at doing, and then how are you going to measure them, how are you going to know if success was a place, and then what are the individual tasks that you're going to do on a day-to-day basis that are going to get you there. Realize that if you focus on too many strategies, then you will be less successful on each of them. Whereas if you focus on a fewer number of them, then you're going to be able to make more progress. You're going to waste less time, energy, and money by switching from strategy to strategy effectively. And then realize that you have to measure your success to track the progress that you're doing there. So be sure to check out the next videos on how to actually use this tool in practice on the template that we've included, as well as looking at the KPI video that we've included to determine how to make the best measurements to track the right things so that your people can all get on board with the goals and strategies moving forward. So thanks so much. I hope that was useful, and I really look forward to sharing with you in the next video. Take care.